Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tyson McGuffin, and welcome to the McGuffin Show. On our fourth episode here, just posted our last episode actually today, so you guys should check that out on Facebook. Also, too, I always post a little teaser video on Instagram, so make sure you guys check that out. Mr. McKenzie, what is good, my dude?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here. How you been? Been a little bit.
You know what? Been a little bit, yeah. Just getting geared up for Newport. Been playing a little bit. Luckily, here in Idaho, things are still pretty much open. We're not shut down. So yeah, a little indoor facility called Pink Tennis in Hayden. You obviously know of it. So been practicing there. I know you were in Phoenix this last weekend, so I had to bring in some more troops to beat up on. I'm just kidding. So yeah, we had Rafa come up. Matt Goebel comes out about once every 6 months. You know what I mean? And then
Matt made an appearance.
And Matt, every 6 or 7 months, he kind of creeps out a little bit. But yeah, man, just getting geared up for Newport. Actually been getting some 6 a.m. sessions in with Leia. I know that sounds a little crazy, but not gonna lie, I'm actually liking the early mornings and early evenings. I've been going to bed at like 9 or 10 every night. Been getting like 7-8 hours of sleep. Up by 5:30. Get a little hot tub session in, and then drive my ass to Peak. So
for sure. Yeah, definitely. I've gone over once. Played with you guys, a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's definitely early, very, very early. But there's something to be said for getting your main training thing out of the way, and then you can kind of tackle the rest of the tasks for the day. Yeah. I think anybody who's a routine person or big into fitness, it seems like a lot of them do it first thing, and that's kind of the best way to stay consistent.
Yeah, get it out of the way. Feel good about yourself. Feel disciplined nice and early. No, definitely, it's a nice feeling. Especially for like having kids and stuff too, right? Like your kids are in bed by 8 or 9, you go to bed right after, you're up early together. So definitely makes sense.
Kind of mirror their schedule a little bit. Yeah, it makes sense.
Mirror their schedule. Want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors this week. Turna Pickleball, Selkirk Sport, 1044 Pro, Voodoo Pain Relief Cream, Pickle Play, Beamer Therapy, Salt Stick, R-Bar, or Vitamin Drip CDA, or Renew, Jolt Therapy Tool, and ASEA. Thank you very much. Hey, can you tell the listeners here what you were doing the morning before you played at 6? Because I think it's kind of a funny story. And when you walked in the building, your eyes were they looked a little tired and a little glossy.
I was definitely seeing double for about the first half hour we were there. So I, with everything locked down here in Washington, have a lot of time on my hands. So I decided, I used to play poker for a living. It's been a while since I've been pretty serious about it. But I decided, what the heck, I'll enter a couple of tournaments and see how it goes. Well, I guess I didn't realize how long they were going to go, and I was doing pretty well. So I think I finished second in it. There was several hundred people that entered it, so I did pretty well, made a little bit of money. But I think I was up till about 2:30 in the morning, and had to get up at 5 to then drive over, drive an hour and play with you guys. So yeah, when I showed up, it was a little bit, I was a little punch drunk, and did not play my best for the first bit there. I actually felt bad because I didn't know it was going to be all 4 of us. I thought it was just 3 of us doing kind of like rotation drilling. So when I got there, I didn't tell you guys this, but I was so out of it. I shut my eyes for like 10 minutes in the car because I was just totally out of it. So then I show up, realize you guys were waiting on me to get going, and I felt a little bad.
That's too funny. That's all right. Matt can either show up and play like a 3-5, or he can play like a 6-0. So don't worry.
He was playing pretty good.
No.
He was bringing it.
And Mr. Goebel, I say that with love. It is very true that man could be, he can be top 5 on any day, or he could be part of that top 50 category, if you know what I mean. But sure. Always good to get Mr. Goebel out and work on my hands, work on counter punching against some of the best offense in the game.
Well, and to his credit, we give him a lot of crap about, we obviously play or seen playing more often than him. But to be fair, with his style, he's inherently going to be streaky. I think I heard it somebody told me the first time they saw Federer play, his first on the scene, he played a tournament where they were like, he looked like a low 5-0. He was just shanking everything. And it took him a little while to get all that variety and really dial it in and refine it. And I think Matt is kind of in that category. He has so many options. The guy has so many different types of attacks and misdirection and spins. And when he's got it rolling, it's so tough to play with him. But he's going to have times where he falls off for a little while and, loses his rhythm maybe more than you or I, playing a little bit more of a simplified strategy.
No, for sure. And that's just part of the offense. Part of the risk that you take. But hey, did you get a chance to watch the Mike Tyson and
I didn't.
Roy
I was going to
Jones
ask
Jr.?
you about it because I was watching all the build up to it, but I was kind of meeting with some of the people I was teaching. We were doing a dinner and just wasn't able to check it out. But I understand it was pretty decent fight. It went down as was it a no decision? Is that what they called it?
Yeah, well, it's it's an exhibition, so they're going to call it a draw. But Mike Tyson beat him up for 8 rounds. Mike
okay.
Tyson,
So it was
Mike
pretty
Tyson
clear.
looks like a bad, oh my gosh, he's just a bad man. I
saw some of the training videos and world-class trainers were saying, he could get in there right now with some of the professional fighters and do okay. I'm sure the fitness is, a different category with the age, but just the punching ability and the violence. He's a bad man.
Yeah, he's a real bad man. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny. Roy Jones Jr. Looks like a true counterpuncher. Like tried to hold him up the whole time and kind of hang on him and wear him out. So it wasn't great to watch just because Mike Tyson was trying to get after him and then Roy Jones was more so just kind of stalling, but
trying to slow it down.
Yeah. But no, it was fun to watch. It was kind of funny. The co-main event was Jake Paul fighting Nate Robinson. Jake Paul is a big YouTube creator guy, has all this content and stuff like that. And, he's a rap artist as well. He kind of does everything, but he's got 30 million followers on Instagram. Anyhow, he ended up fighting my boy Nate Robinson, who's actually from Seattle, Washington. Ended up fighting him, and Nate Robinson played for the Celtics, played in the NBA for 10 years. Obviously,
he won the dunk contest, I think 2 or 3 times too. So he's a highlight reel.
Right. So crazy athletic, right? But obviously, boxing is much different than just being athletic. And so anyhow, so he ended up getting knocked out in the second round and got knocked out hard.
I think he got knocked out cold, right? He was out for a little while, right?
It was kind of scary, but
I was trying to watch the highlight. I don't know if they censored it because it was such a violent punch, but they showed a couple of shots and then they just showed, and in this round he went out and it was on the ground. So I figured it must have looked pretty rough to see live.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool. Mike Tyson, he's starting this company called Legions of Legends, and basically it's old time or older fighters, guys 50 plus who still have a little juice left in the tank, who still have some competitive fire and want to throw some punches. So he's gonna try to run a pay-per-view a month, and kind of bring in some celebrity fights, and then always kind of headline it with some sort of senior fight. So kind of cool. But
so have kind of a dual former big name boxers with current non-boxer celebrity types. That's a great idea.
Senior tours, the golf senior tour. There. Yeah, for sure. Golf senior tour. Yeah, you have the old man's tour for tennis. What's kind of funny is that Mike Tyson obviously owns a marijuana ranch. It's called the Tyson Ranch. And then he's got his podcast. It's called Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. And he brings on a bunch of athletes and celebrities and stuff like that. And basically just smokes a lot of THC in a room and then talks nonsense. But so he's got his little ranch, and his ranch is in LA. But I was going to tell you that before the fight, he not in his little interview before the fight, but in his post-match interview, he told all the news reporters that he smoked a joint before the fight. Mike Tyson, yeah.
Well, so I guess it calmed him down or something. I don't know.
Calmed him down. But yeah, he credits like 5 years ago, he was like super depressed, like 100 pounds overweight, had all this stuff going on. And he like credits, all this happiness in life to marijuana and like his whole,
Wow.
He has like this whole new look on life and like perspective. And
Yep.
it's
well, I remember back in the day when he was, with huge name then too, but when he was maybe towards the end of his career where he lost some fights and wasn't performing as well, but it seemed like he had that reputation of being on antidepressants for years. I remember he was publicly announced he was on Zoloft and all that. So sounds like he's found for himself maybe a better way to
a cleaner
deal
version
with all that stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sounds like he's obviously a big marijuana advocate. So Seahawks are playing tonight. I don't know if you're watching, but your ass better be.
Playing the Eagles.
Playing the Eagles.
I like their chances. It's I think it's in Philadelphia though. It's at the Eagles.
Yep.
But the Eagles I think have looked a little bit better, but they started the season looking really, really rough.
Yeah.
I think they're 3-6. Yeah.
Yeah. Carson Wentz still the quarterback?
Yeah. Yep. I know he was kind of on the hot seat like early in the season. I think when they went 0-4, 1-4 or something, but I believe they've stuck with him, and their division is pretty poor this year. So even though they're 3-6, I think they still have a shot at it with the Giants. And
and
the Cowboys. The Giants, the Cowboys, and who else is in there? Redskins, I think.
Right. Who can lose the most games and then end up number one in the conference?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be one of those years where they have like the winner of the conference has maybe a 500 record or slightly worse.
Right.
The Seahawks enjoyed that a couple of times over the last decade or so.
Slid by
in there with a conference win.
Did you see that Denver Broncos had to pull out like a 4-string wide receiver just to throw him at quarterback? You see that?
I did not.
Oh, it was a complete bloodbath. Yeah. So basically, it's kind of crazy, dude. I don't know the true facts behind it, but like essentially all the quarterbacks were at the facility there in Denver and they didn't have a mask on and they were just getting some like training in with a coach over a Zoom call or something like that. Anyhow, one of the quarterbacks had COVID and they were all in a room together and none of them had mask on. So yeah, crazy. So the league ended up forcing them to have to play and kind of used it as like an example. So obviously like follow protocol, don't be dipshits, go about things the right way. And when you're getting paid that type of money, I mean, you freaking listen.
Yeah, no, for sure. You fall in line.
Yeah.
No reason to be a rebel. So they got destroyed then, I'm guessing.
So they got beat up. And there was a game, I can't remember, I think it's the Steelers and somebody else, but they postponed their game from Sunday to Tuesday because of COVID, and then they pushed it back even to Wednesday because so many players had COVID. But so it sounds like the league is moving games if teams are following protocol. But obviously, if you're the Broncos and all the quarterbacks are in a room together, nobody has a mask on, then they're going to make an example out of you.
Well, yeah, they weren't going to be able to delay it long enough. They probably have to go 14 days of quarantine to even have a shot. So yeah, it would have been too long.
Tell me how your Thanksgiving was.
Yeah. Solid. So I think I told you that I was a little worried I was going to have to do all the cooking because Callie was laid up pretty bad, but it was more of a tag team effort. I was kind of more her gopher in the kitchen. She at least directed me in the right way, so it wasn't a total disaster. And
give you a little roadmap.
The kids still ate pretty well, but it was first Thanksgiving in a while that we just kind of did our own thing with the family. We didn't go see other family, and it was actually really nice. Obviously, it's great to see extended family, but kind of doing your own thing more on a private, more intimate scale was a nice change of pace for us for sure. Yeah. How was visiting? You went over to Seattle?
Yeah, right? Seattle. It was short and sweet, man, but it was good. Yeah. We flew in Wednesday night, took Skyman over there with us, and Banks and Meg. And stayed at my mom's on Wednesday and then went over to my grandma's house in Enumclaw, in the middle of freaking nowhere. Do you know where Enumclaw is?
on the drive, I've always seen the sign. I don't think I've driven through very much, but
Yeah.
driven near it.
Right. So I ended up, so it was her first time getting to see Banks. So she held Banks for 3 hours, didn't give her up.
Well, but she loved that.
Oh man, had her eyes just looking at her for like 3 straight hours. So no, it was cool. So that was like the deal, was just seeing my mom and then letting grandma obviously meet Banks and hold Banks and stuff like that. And then we ended up flying back on Friday. So yeah, a little short and sweet trip. I was actually going to stay for the weekend, but it's just crazy, man. There's just nowhere to play in Seattle. Like Pickleball Central obviously closed. I mean, everywhere in Seattle's closed. And so
I know, what a bummer.
Texted, Brian Ashworth, Nick Williams, Glenn Peterson, I mean, all those guys, and just slim pickings. I mean, talk about a shitty situation. God. I mean, honestly, like if we didn't have at peak right now, I mean, what the hell would we do?
No, exactly. I mean, just work on our fitness, right?
Shadow swing
with getting reps in, shadow swing. Yeah. Come up with some at home training exercises.
Visualize
and attack.
Yeah,
I love it. It's surprising to me though, with Seattle. Like when I moved over this way a couple years ago, I didn't think that this would be like a better spot for having, finding a spot to play and pickleball facilities than the whole Seattle area, which is a pretty big hub for pickleball in general. There's, the parks are always full, with rec play, over there. So it's too bad they don't have a year-round spot anymore.
Yeah, no indoor facility to be seen. I mean, I mean, whoever wants to invest in like a freaking warehouse that obviously doesn't cost too much in Seattle, it's gonna make a killing. Like, I mean, Seattle's dying for 12-court indoor facility, key card service. Anybody can go in at any time. I mean, it rains, 9 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year there. I mean, it's crazy how it seems like there's some tennis clubs that are starting to sprinkle in, pickleball at select hour or select times and stuff like that. Right. But yeah, nothing that's, very consistent.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's not even just one of those areas where seasonally in the wintertime people would want to play. I mean, because of all the rain that they get, I mean, year round, having the ability to play indoors would be just a real benefit there anyways, with the rain. So
right.
I think it's just a matter of time, but the first person to jump on that and do it right, like you said, is probably going to make a killing.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if the viewers here have seen the new Selkirk bags, but they come large, medium, and small. This is the medium size. Wouldn't call it a day pack, just medium bag here. So they basically took the old bag, shaved these down, made it a little boxier, made it a bit more compact. Put that right there.
So I ordered mine, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. Does it still have the shoe compartment underneath? Or?
So not yet. So not for the medium size,
okay.
But for the large size, yes.
For the tour bag, the large.
Correct. Yeah, okay. Tour bag. Yeah. So the tour bag essentially is the same bag as before, but like tight, compressed.
Okay.
Like the floppy sides that used to kind of. You just make the bag super big is now nice and tucked
right.
in.
Before they just had the day and then the big tour bag, and then they decided to go with the medium as well. Definitely a big old bag, the large size for sure. That's what I ordered though. Callie and I were joking around. It's almost like our diaper bag with the four kids. We go to the courts. We're throwing snacks in there and anything else we can. So we love the big old bag. Bring it on.
It's called being efficient, baby. Being efficient. Okay, guys. So topics of the week. We're gonna talk about playing within your limitations and kind of understanding that role, or understanding kind of what's under that umbrella. We will talk about some potential sleepers and some of the teams that are playing the Newport tournament coming up this weekend, both men's, women, and mixed. We will get into the nugget of the week, and then we will kind of end with some camp recap stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. So Kyle, hey, cool. So when you think about playing inside your limitations, or understanding your limitations, or understanding what you do well, and then also too, not only understanding yourself, but understanding how to maximize your full potential. What does that say to you?
I think it's just maybe a really common misconception. I've noticed this when I teach or when people ask me questions. I think people think that at the pro level, like, since everybody's so good that they can do everything, right? That they've got all the shots, and to some degree, I guess that's true, and obviously different for different people. But I would say let's look at you, for example, right? Number 1 or 2 in singles over the last couple of years. Obviously, top 5 in doubles over the last couple of years as well. I think people are surprised when I tell them, I say, Tyson can do a little bit of everything, but how often do you drive your one-handed backhand in singles?
Right.
Pretty rare, right?
I haven't driven in 3 years. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, here's a shot that you can do, right? But it's not your strength. It's somewhat limited, right? One of the very best players in the world, and it's a major shot that you choose not to use, right? Because you just don't see how it gets you as ahead as other things. For me, when I first started, I really had a poor backhand return. I didn't slice the ball yet, wasn't really comfortable there. So I would stand way over shade to where I only basically played forehands and just gave them a tiny sliver. And so I think people underestimate how much you can really get ahead by hiding your weakness up to a certain point, right? And so I think it's so important to know who you are, know your identity as a player. You don't have to do every single thing really well, but you need to have, I think, like bunches or a few different categories of things that you do well that connect or go together, right? Like, so I think, when you look at the recipe for the most, I would say the most common recipe for top level pickleball players right now, I would say it's somebody who dinks very consistently and who has very strong counter-punching hands. I think there's a lot of guys in that category that have broken through and have been, some of the top guys around on a regular basis because they are very consistent at the kitchen line. Yeah. Those 2 skill sets, because a team is either going to have to outlast you by having you make the error first in a dink setting, or they're going to have to speed up and bring aggression through you and beat basically the counter-punching skills. I would say, guys like Riley, obviously they can do a little more too, but at their core, I think guys like Riley are very similar to that. Guys like Adam Stone, guys like Steve Deacon. I think there's a lot of people that fit that style. I think you're a little bit different because I'd say you're a high level dinker, really great with the soft game and consistency, but you're almost in a category of your own to me where your resets are really what separates you from a lot of the other high level people, not necessarily counter punching, but I think you can go a long way and even all the way to the top with not being a master at every single shot.
No, and I mean, just like what you said, I mean, just being good at two skill sets, dinking aggressively or just dinking well and counter punching, or, finding some ways to be offensive. I think this is an interesting topic, but I mean, something that I always tell campers is you gotta kind of understand what your panic button is under pressure, and then think about your limitations under that. You know what I mean? Like, think about your panic button. Think about when it's 8-all or 9-on, like you feel pressure, like what do you always go to? Like, do you not take as many dinks out of the air? Is your feet always dancing at the kitchen line? Do you refuse to speed up because you're handcuffed because you feel pressure? So it's understanding what your panic button is, and then from there, kind of giving yourself like a little roadmap and figuring out, hey, what are my limitations here? And I think, it's tough to understand your limitations in rec play with no pressure. It's something totally different to understand your limitations under pressure in a tournament, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to feel limitations when you're not feeling pressure. So pressure plays a very large piece in this, right? But
and it's so important to know what type of player you are too, and be self-aware. Because I thought you referenced a great point. You said, somebody's panic button might be maybe that they're speeding up too much, but a different person's panic button might be that they don't speed up at all, and that maybe is the type of player they are, and that's what they need to do. Somebody like Matt Goebbels, if he feels pressure, he might think, oh, just get the ball in, but that's not really who he is as a player. So he needs to kind of trust the offense in those moments, whereas maybe you or I need to trust the consistency or whatever we feel like is our edge. So it definitely varies from player to player. Right?
Yeah, and I think just like what you said, they're always like stay true to yourself. Always stay true to your identity.
Sure.
You know, and yeah, there's certain things that I know that I can do against select people that I can't do against you know, some of the big horses. So I think it's a little situational based on the player too. So you take into account pressure, you take into account kind of who you're playing, you know, what sort of style they have. But I mean, for me, I know like under pressure, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna lock down. I'm gonna make dinks. I'm not gonna miss drops. I'm gonna make my opponents respect me, and I'm gonna be like a true counter puncher.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, plan B would be if I'm in that situation and I understand that I'm not being successful there, then I'm gonna have to turn the knob a little bit and find some different things to do, right? But
well, and it takes. I mean, think about what that takes, though. It really takes checking your pride at the doorstep a little bit, because I mean, you referenced it. You're able to be the analyst in those moments and say, hey, these certain things might work against a certain caliber of player. But if you're playing against the very, very top, you've got to adjust and say, hey, listen, you know, this element or this part of my game may not match up well enough against this opponent. I might have to try to win a different way. But, you know, there's a certain category of people that are so prideful that they just say, hey, I like this about me. I don't care who I'm in front of. This is how I win. This is what I'm going to do. And so, you know, it's a fine line that you have to ride a little bit, I think.
Ben's a great example there. The guy, and it's tough not to be that stubborn when you win 98% of the time. But yeah, no, this is I was gonna fucking branch off on something. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, let's you know, for example, you know, the tournament in Atlanta, you know, I'm playing Ben. I'm down 0-8 in game 3 in singles, and he always hits his serve return to my forehand, and me being down 0-8 and I brought it back to 8-all, he still hit the return to my forehand even when I brought it all the way back, and I ended up winning game 3 like 14-12, and he was still feeding me balls to my dominant side. So it's tough, like when you're like ingrained with your patterns and you're winning such a high percentage of points, it's tough to go away from that stuff, right? I mean, that's like Old Faithful. Yeah. So but there's something to be said with understanding limitations under pressure, and then understanding limitations just based off the individual or based off of who's in front of you.
Yeah, great point. And one thing too, I think that's valuable for the audience is just because you have a limitation doesn't mean that you always will have that, right? But to me, I think you have to be able to differentiate between rec play and tournament play. And so you don't want to just force yourself to work through your weakness in tournament play. Your partner wouldn't really like that very much if you're just trying to dust off the cobwebs. So I think recognize where your weaknesses are. Think of a training program to try to turn that weakness into a strength, or at the very least plug that hole. But come tournament time, you're not going to have enough time to plug the hole. So you might have to think your way around hiding it a little bit more.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with you know, hiding it a little bit and wrapping your game around what you do well. I know for me too, like under pressure, when I'm able to kind of hide my weakness and cover some of that stuff and then bring out some of like my more stronger attributes, it takes the monkey off my back, you know? So I think, you know, if you're, I mean, something that I do, and this is a fun little tip for the viewers is, you know, like, let's say if I'm on the left side and I'm dinking backhands cross court and I'm trying to speed up at the person in front of me, if I've tried to take a roll backhand out of the air and speed up at him, and I felt like either my speed up wasn't good enough or I had a stamp on my forehead that said I was coming in hot, plain and simple, if I'm not able to beat him there, then I'm going to start using a inside out forehand dink and then start looking to speed up with my forehand going up the line. So just a little example.
Use your legs, not
yeah, for sure. So there's definitely something to be said with, you know, if you like your forehand and you feel like you can use your feet wisely and you're physical enough to get your feet around it, there's nothing wrong with, you know, looking to make it a forehand type of day. I mean,
you hit the nail. Yeah.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think what you showed is there's more than one way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish if you're just willing to be creative, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you're in a situation where you're recognizing you want to find some offense and pick on the person in front of you. If you don't feel like the backhand's good enough to do that, then try the other side, right? So there's always probing and experimenting, and it's not just one way to try to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And so I think that's what I enjoy about the sport, tactically, is how can I figure out what I do well to match that up to be a strength, and how do I, figure out how to hide my weaknesses to still be able to manage and compete and match those up with the opponent. So that's what that's where my passion is at, for sure.
Well, I think
is how to match up.
Yeah, I think like what you said too is pretty eye-opening. Like you take a look at like the big chunk of players that are all being pretty successful on tour, and usually it falls under the umbrella of just being good counterpunchers. Like there's not a lot of guys who have a lot of offense. Like Matt Wright, Ben Johns has good offense. Good mixed players have good offense. But I mean, like you take a look at Riley. Like Riley's really not offensive off the bounce or out of the air. Riley's more offensive with like his general presence and like taking over the court and kind of being big and poaching and stuff like that. So, obviously various forms of offense, but like you take a look at the guys that are doing well in mixed and doing well in men's, and usually those guys have some offense, like a Riley, like Matt, Ben, myself. Who else is kind of in that category of playing some good mix at the moment? Jeff Warnick, obviously super offensive guy, 6'7". So, I mean, if you're gonna do it mixed, and if you're gonna be on the podium in mixed, you definitely have to find some ways to speed up. That's for sure.
Yeah, one thing I've been thinking about lately, and we'll see if you agree or disagree though, is I would say the type of offense needed in mixed is different in a way than the type of offense needed in men's. And I'll kind of use this with myself and Matt Goebbels as a comparison, because we play with him a lot and I know his game pretty well. Matt's got such variety that his offense is fantastic for men's. But if you look at his results and just even have a conversation with him, I know he doesn't enjoy mixed as much. And I would say it's because he's always trying to set the point up and really beat you with a, for lack of a better term, fancier speed up. Where in mixed, really the frequency and being bold and going at the female, maybe when you haven't worked the point as much, and even maybe when they know it's coming, but just to try to say, hey, listen, I'm going to try to overpower you. I know that when I played with Leia in Texas and we had a pretty good run, it was the first time I'd played that level in mixed, and I wasn't sure how well I would do. I felt like my speed ups maybe are a little less deceptive than others, and so it's harder for me to do that in men's. But I felt like in mixed, even if I was only winning 60% of those fast exchanges, it still made sense for me to try to initiate an attack against the gal, because it was still better for us as a team. So kind of a different way of looking at offense. You can be more of a wilder, reckless offense, I guess, if you will, in mixed. It'd still be a good play for your team.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff's a good example of that. I mean, he's kind of in that realm of just like wreaking havoc in mixed and kind of covering 70% of the court. Obviously, letting Jessie do her thing, letting Jessie dink, letting Jessie drop. But I mean, Jeff's got the middle covered. And I take a look at Matt. Like Matt's very stationary with his offense. He kind of sits in like 20% of the court. You take a look at like Jeff. Why Jeff is so efficient in mixed, because not only can he take a dink off of Jessie's inside foot, but he can like reach over and poach middle and then get back and cover a ball that's like pulling him out of position. You know what shot that freaking nobody has but Ben, and honestly too, this is like what sets him apart from anybody. This is some scary shit, but it's when he goes like when he can take a dink off of Simone's left foot and go inside out with it, and then Simone looks to Ernie off of that, and then the guy dinks aggressively back cross court. Think you know where I'm going with this. And then Ben basically is moving to his left. He's gaining balance, and he's able to speed up like as he's moving to his non-dominant side off the bounce, and then get ready for a recounter. That's some pretty good business. Like when you're going inside out with the dink from the middle, and you're on your chick's side, and then when the guy can dink back out wide, and then you can get there and speed up and then get ready for a recounter. I mean, to even gather yourself and balance yourself to get gathered for a speed up, let alone to like reposition and get ready for a recounter. I mean, it's pretty good. It's very good.
You have to have the whole package to even try that, right? Your touch has to be incredible.
Yeah.
Your body control, hand speed,
scary.
Anticipation. I mean, you have to have everything to make that work. And the guy is very talented.
No, for sure. But anyhow, so let's get talking about Newport here. I'm gonna go through some of the teams that have signed up real quick here.
Okay, and I've got a few written down. A few of the sleeper teams.
Okay, so looking at some of the men's teams here, we have Lung and Divier. Lung and
be a fun team. I don't think they've played together before.
Lefty or at Tall and Tall. Let's see here. Deckel and Adam, good team. Eric Lang and Randy Zvinden could be an interesting little team. Team head, baby.
Sleeper for sure. I don't know if I've seen those guys team up together before. Maybe they have. I haven't noticed it though.
Yeah, for sure.
DJ Young and Callan. That's another potential. They're always a sleeper.
Yeah, talk about understanding your limitations. Like how unique is Randy Zvinden's game?
I mean, credit to him for. I don't think he was a tennis guy. It certainly doesn't look like it. With the way
and maximizing all that unorthodox stuff. I mean, he does a very good job of like. He can like disguise all of his dinks. He's got a lot of flowy stuff going on with his take back. He's got all that exaggeration. He doesn't really speed up a whole lot, but the guy's got great hands. I mean, he dinks well. He's good in transition and he can counter. I mean,
when he does speed up, it's a pretty like high level misdirection, fancier type ball. Yeah,
it's very Matt Goebel-ish, if you know what I mean. Kind of has that same.
Well, I think one of the things that's kind of unique about him, and I haven't played against him a lot, but just kind of one of the reputations of why he's so difficult when he does speed up is my understanding is he has a reputation of kind of varying the height of the ball. Some people will wait till the ball sits up at the apex. That's kind of the standard of when he decides to strike it. He'll sometimes take it as it's still rising, or then sometimes he'll take it after its apex and is starting its descent. So if you can do that and vary when you hit the ball, it's just like a pitcher in baseball. Just if you can throw the timing of the counterpuncher off just enough, that can be enough to get those attacks through.
Right. Kind of a fun little tip for the viewers. If you've tried to speed up with like a 40% speed up and you tried to go calculated and well placed and it didn't work, you should try to go 80% speed up that's not as calculated and see if you're more successful there. So think about either changing the pace of your speed up or simply maybe changing the location on their body, or just like what Kyle touched on, and this is obviously a bit more higher level, but maybe make contact as the ball's still rising, or make contact at the apex, which is the norm, or you can let the ball deaccelerate and drop a little bit. But just kind of flirt with that and see if you can find anything.
For sure.
All right. So
Tyson, so men's. So obviously, as far as on paper favorites, you, Riley, and then Ben is playing with his brother Colin on this one. So, I mean, I think it's pretty fair to say on paper that both you two teams are favored to get there. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But if you had to pick the top sleeper team in that group, who would you go with, you think?
Top sleeper team.
Top sleeper team in men's.
I would go with Warnick and Navratil. They beat Wright and John. They beat Wright and Johns in Atlanta this year at the Georgia Open. Also, who beat Matt and Ben in Vegas? Wasn't it Jeff and somebody else? Who was it?
I believe it was Eric Lang and Tyler Loom.
Got it.
It was Eric and Loom.
Shoot. So So you know what? I'm gonna throw two in there. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but I'm gonna throw in Warnick and Navratil, and then after hearing that, it's Lang and Zvinden. It's not Lang and Loom.
And it's
Got it,
Tyler and Jay and
Yeah.
Lang.
Right.
Lang is
God, I
winning
got some odd teams here. You know what? I'm actually going to stick to Warnick and Navratil. Good team. Jeff,
Yeah.
scary man, big hands. He's starting to dink a little better. His forehand dink still shit, but I'm just kidding. take that, Jeff. I know that it's all coming from love.
Well, I think if there's somebody who can dish it out and take it, I think he's right at the top of that list. I think.
Yeah.
So I think.
But I mean, if you ask people what the recipe is with Jeff, usually it's dinking to his forehand. So yeah, I think with Jeff's movement, his presence, his hands, and then with how Navratil can kind of be physical, take a lot of balls, kind of be everywhere, make a lot of dinks. It's a tough little team for sure.
Yeah. They're a smart pick, and I think something to be said for somebody like Zane. You've seen the consistency in his results across the board of the last couple months, and I think it's been relatively new or recent. He's gone full-time pickleball, right? So he burned his bridges, quit his career, moving full-time into this. So that he's putting in the time and the focus is there, and he's had an immense amount of talent for a long time. And then Jeff, I think I said this the other day, the more I study the sport, the more I really increase my IQ on like the skills that really, really matter, the more I'm a fan of Jeff and Jeff's game. It's just he's really good in a few ways that are really tough to beat. And I think he's going to be a tough guy to go through for a while. If you took them though, I think I'm gonna have to take Tyler and Jay. That's a really athletic team. I guess the thing to look for, I guess, I know that Tyler's really consistent, has great counter punching hands, but he dinks a little bit more defensive, not as aggressive with the dinking. So I guess we'll see. Does Jay counter punch well enough to handle himself if people are trying to attack through him? I haven't played against Jay enough to know that, but that'll be the one area we'll see how that chemistry works.
No, there's definitely going to be a very good team. Let's take a look at the females here.
All right, some different names, different teams here.
Let's see here.
Let's see before.
Okay, so taking a look at the women's draw, we have Newman, McGrath, Franco, Ansbury, Callie Smith, Jesse Irvine, Terashenko, and Coop. It's a good team. Terashenko and Coop are coming off their fresh dub at Chicago Open. They got a big win over Simone and Jesse, and that was Simone and Jesse's first time playing together. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. No discredit to that win at all, but and then we have.
But I think they were definitely the on paper favorites there, the Jesse and Simone. So it was a really great win, and they played great all day. I watched a few of their matches there in Chicago.
Parento and Jardine, good team. So you know what? I'm gonna say I'm gonna throw some love to my old mix partner who I love dearly. She's just a pain in the ass to try to play with because she's got way too much going on in Grand Rapids, but I love her to death. Is Andrea Koop and Irina Terashenko. I think coming off that win at Chicago, I don't know if that was their first time playing together, but obviously having that chemistry together. Irina had a very good last 3 months of the year. She really didn't show up for the first half of the year. Last half of the year, she started to kind of find her best form. Was able to really find some of her best stuff. And I always kind of put her like in that top 3 category. I just kind of felt like the last year and a half she kind of let off a little bit, but she definitely picked it back up the last 3 months. And so I think with how lock solid Coop is, and with how Irina's playing better, I would put them as not the sleeper team, but I would put them as the team that's going to win.
Okay. So give me your top 3 then. You're picking them for the gold. Who else is on the podium?
Yep.
Who do you go 2 and 3?
So 2 and 3. Let's go. Jardim and Parento, and then God, that's tough, man. And then Smith and Jesse, I guess that's tough. I mean, any of those teams could be one.
Yeah, I think on paper, I think that's. So I'd probably keep, if I were you, I'd probably keep the same top three. I'd probably just mix up the order. I'm going to go with Simone and Catherine. I think definitely that Simone lost to Andrea and Irina. I believe that's the last time they played. I just get the sense she's going to have that extra little bit of focus and definitely wanting to get them this time around. And I know her and Catherine are such good friends. I expect they'll have a just really natural chemistry on the court. Catherine's also an amazing player, so that helps too. So I'll pick them to take it. You know what? I'm gonna go Callie Smith and Jessie for second, and I'll put Irina and Andrea getting the bronze on this one. But definitely some good sleeper teams. Lindsay was playing with Christine McGrath. They could make some noise. Regina and Sarah Ansbury, always a sleeper team. And then I guess the top sleeper to me for this one would be Michelle Esquivel and Lauren Stratman. Lauren's really improved her game quite a bit over the last few months, and I know she's pretty hungry. Don't know her well, but Leah was telling me that I think the two of them are maybe going to play a couple tournaments next year, and so it seems like she's definitely on the rise, and Michelle's just been a solid pro, top level gal for a while now. So pick them as my sleeper, maybe at that fourth spot.
Be a fun little team to watch. Yeah, Lolo, what's up, girl? I got to kind of meet Lolo or Lauren for the first time in Texas. She's one pretty cool cat. But yeah, it's a good little team, man, for sure. There is something to be said with poking the bear and how the bear comes back a tad bit hungrier after a loss. Kyle, I know it's kind of a funny story, but I know, you had just moved to Spokane. We were, I don't know, a couple months into playing, maybe a couple times into playing, but kind of funny. I remember we ended up playing at North Park, and I don't know if you beat me 2 games or anyhow, you ended up beating me that day. And I remember going home that night and literally I couldn't sleep. I was sick to my stomach, but all night, literally, I just wanted to go back to the club and kick your ass. So can you tell the viewers what took place that next day?
Oh man. Oh gosh. So looking at it from my perspective, right? So I just moved to Spokane. I knew who you were. I'd been playing pickleball about a year, but I hadn't really played a lot of tournaments yet. And singles was kind of my favorite thing. And so I didn't have any idea how I'd match up against you. I think the first time we played outdoors, and it was this terrible surface. We were getting a bad bounce.
Yeah. Right.
So it was really tough to see how it would go. So this is the second time we played North Park, indoor, Duraball. It's the sort of area where if somebody gets hot, they can reel off, 6-7 points in a row on anybody.
You don't have to be humble.
No. I mean, I'm just being honest. I played well, and I was painting lines, and I think you still beat me. You beat me in 3, but I took a game off you, and I think it was 11-8 in the third or something like that. But I was feeling pretty good about it. Okay, it's only second time I played against this guy, the national champion. I'm on my way. And so, we show up the next day, and I don't know how I'll do. I didn't necessarily expect to win, but I expected it to be similar to the day before. And I don't know, we probably played 4 or 5 games, and at least 3 of them were 11-1 or 11-0. And I was just watching the ball fly past me. It felt like I couldn't even get into any kind of a rally. It was funny because then you let me know, I think later that day or maybe the next day, how you were up, stirring the whole night, frustrated. And so we didn't know each other super well. And I don't know, even though it would put me on suicide watch that night of just getting absolutely killed, it definitely made me feel like there's definitely some relatability, right? So, I can certainly relate to if you lose to somebody or play somebody a little closer than you should, and what you're capable of, a true competitor, that stays with you. And so I knew we were going to be pretty close from that point on, just in the way that we look at the sport and competing.
Yeah. But I think, if you're going to make it, or, if you're going to be a top level athlete, kind of having a couple screws loose, having that crazy competitive fire of always trying to win, always trying to compete, wanting to win every single little half court skinny game. I mean, I personally think all that stuff goes such a long ways. You obviously know me, how freaking competitive I am, whether it's a little kitchen game to 5 or, dinking cross court or playing half court skinny. I want to freaking win every point. And I want to make sure that I give 100% effort too. So.
Well, winning's a habit, right? Winning's a habit. So, like, I think high-level competitors, champions, they have that expectation, and they have that expectation all the time. It might not be the way to be, like, happiest in life. I think a lot of people are kind of tortured souls,
No, it's
with
very true.
needing to win all the time.
Because they just can't turn it off. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I think it's a pattern that you see across the board. A lot of high-level athletes have that personality. You almost need it to really be the best or at something on a big scale.
Yeah, for sure. Quick here. So mixedy. Okay. Okay, so taking a look at the mixed pro draw. So we got Newman and Newman. This is their first time back playing. Lindsay just had her little baby, so good to see that she's healthy and baby's healthy. McGrath and Young, it could be a little sleeper team. Oh, Smith and McGuffin, Irvin, Warnick.
Oh, look out.
Ansbury, Lang, Coop and Diviers, good little team. Dawson, Terashenko. God dang, man, it goes on and on and on.
Just getting deeper and deeper every tournament.
Deeper and deeper. Stone Carr, Esquivel, Cassidy, Stratman, Barr, Jardine, Johns, Parento, Loon, Franco, and Johnson. Good little team as well. Kyle, give me your top three. Actually, no. Give me your big sleeper.
I'll give you. Okay, yeah. I don't want to hurt your feelings and not pick you for winning it. So I'll just give you a sleeper.
Gosh.
And I won't hurt your feelings and call you my sleeper either. So,
Fuck
you. Give me in the category of sleeper, give me Deckel and Lauren Stratman. I think both those players are on the way up. I mean, they've always been good for a while, but just I feel like they're at the level where they could maybe knock off one of these big dog teams. So I like the way both of them are playing. I don't know if they've played together yet, so we'll see how that chemistry is on court. But on paper, I like those guys.
Okay.
How about
you? And then let's see here. Sleeper team. A sleeper team essentially is a team that obviously just hasn't been as successful. I guess classify sleeper to me.
Right.
Yeah. Sleeper.
Okay, so
sleeper is what?
Maybe they've made the podium before, but probably no better than bronze at a big event. Certainly not the on paper favorite.
Okay. Probably should have got this established before this conversation. You're right. Okay.
Right. Maybe a first time pairing. The first time they played together, but not a top two or so favorite.
Yeah. Okay, for sure. Yeah, you know what? I actually like McGrath and Young. DJ, obviously, kind of like a Matt Goebel. You never really know what sort of DJ is going to show up, but when he does show up and he's at his prime, it's pretty stinking good. And we all know the guy's extremely talented. It just comes down to can he believe that he can play in those big matches, and can he believe that he can play well in those big matches, right? And obviously, Christine's a nice little player. And then my top three here. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's going to be so Callie and I lost to Ben and Simone 7-8 or 8-8 in Texas. So I'm just going to be bold. I'm going to say Callie and I, Simone and Ben, and Lung and Parento.
Lung and Parento. Okay.
Throwing up. Callie, show up, baby. Show up and let's go.
No particular order, or are we was that 1, 2, 3?
That was 1, 2, 3.
All right. Love it. Love it. Well, I'll be cheering you on. I'll be in your corner. So
you better.
You got this.
Yeah. Thanks, coach. Hey, so give me your nugget of the week. What's
nugget of the week. So
what's your juiciest nugget for the viewers?
I don't know if it's my juiciest, but it's my one for this week. So it's master soft height. So one of the most common phrases I hear in rec play, and I'm even guilty of saying it a couple times myself, you pop a ball up that gets attacked and you hear somebody say, oh, too high, too high, too high, too high. With my students, I really try to get people to rethink that phrase, because if you pop a ball up that gets attacked and you're telling yourself that you hit it too high, what adjustment are you going to make? You're going to start to aim lower to the net and make your target even smaller. So stealing a phrase from Mr. Rob Cassidy, think about mastering that soft height and dinking shallow. So shallow is a great way to look at your dinks, because you need to have a certain amount of height and net clearance for that ball to land shorter in the kitchen. But it forces you to think about hitting your dinks softer to keep them unattackable. So when we pop a dink up, remember that it's not height alone that makes that attackable. It's height plus distance. So a lot of times the height or the margin of error, the amount of net clearance is appropriate. It's just it was hit too hard and the ball traveled too far. So just a different way at looking at our mistakes. And I would say most of the time, height is our friend. Yes, you can hit a ball too high where the bounce sits up, but most of the time, high margin of error and soft height is the ticket to consistency.
I like it. I like it. Find it and you keep it.
How about you? You find it, you keep it.
And that is another Rob Cassidy quote.
It is. The Rob Cassidy-ism.
Guy comes up on every episode, man. Yeah, so I'm going to
When are we going to have Cassidy on one of these podcasts?
I don't know.
We got to get Cassidy on here one of these
I know.
times.
We've been kind of being a little stingy and just taking all the credit here. So I'm gonna talk about a technique nugget, and let's talk about the block volley. So I think some of the main common tendencies, or some of the reasons why people are not as successful with that block volley, I believe is because maybe they're not squeezing hard enough. There's too much risk taking place. There's too much outward push. I would say if there's one main tendency, usually it's people trying to do too much and trying to punch out as they hit that block volley. We see this a lot with lower level players. You know, like the natural tendency when a ball gets hit hard is to obviously punch back, not block back. And we all know it takes a much higher skill set to block back versus punch back. But another common tendency would be, if you had a beverage in your non-dominant hand, let's say it's an IPA. I see a lot of people throwing that IPA or throwing that beverage over their shoulder and having way too much upper extremity activity. Or if there was a ball on top of their head, the ball falls off their head. So just all in all, too much activity, too much wrist, too much extension. So when I teach that block volley, I teach, kind of have your paddle like a statue, let the ball come to you. I use like a boxer analogy. Like, if I was going to counter punch Mike Tyson, if Mike Tyson was going to throw a punch at me, I'm going to move into him and force him to kind of punch me from here. And that'll take away all the power. So as I hit that block volley, I'm going to use my imaginary ball trick. Let's say my first imaginary ball is here and my second one's out there. So as I hit a punch volley, I want to meet the second imaginary ball. As I hit my block volley, I just want to meet one imaginary ball. Or if there's a lot of pace coming on it, maybe I just meet like a half a ball. Another way to look at it would be on your punch volley, let's say you hit 40% of the ball. On your block volley, let's say you hit the back 5%. Or let's say your punch volley is like hitting a home run, and then your block volley is like a first date.
A bunt.
It's like a little bunt. I think, talking about height and shallow, right? I think really, really good defenders trust their height, trust that shallow zone, and they know that they can't hit, this perfect block that is kind of flirting with the net. So you kind of have to use your margin, use your height, trust that like your shock absorbers or that your legs can kind of help. I think big thing on the block is trusting your lower extremities, keeping your upper extremities nice and quiet, and then just trying to meet that first imaginary ball. Hey, Kyle, tell me this.
One thing I've noticed, with teaching that one, just real quick, is the biggest, and you've referenced it, the biggest challenge I think people have is waiting and allowing that ball to get into them and not resisting that urge to go out and meet the ball. So one, if you're struggling with that, one thing to help you or think about, get extra low, because if you're low, think of when the ball's traveling, it's usually getting a little bit lower. So if you're very low already with your body, it's easier for you to wait that split second and allow it to get into you. But if you're relatively upright, your tendency is to want to go out and meet the ball before it gets too low and awkward for you. So if you already start low, I think it's a little bit easier to allow that ball to get into you and resist that urge to go out and meet it.
Yeah. Kyle, tell the viewers, as a counterattacking situation, if somebody were to speed up at you, when would you punch and give them one of these and say, don't bring that nonsense here, versus just surrender and block? I think that's a fun little topic.
So I mean, I'll steal this right from totally stolen from the Tyson McGuffin playbook here. But if you see the attack coming, if you see it, you anticipate it well, you feel like you can get that extension, I think against most people, your best option is to go ahead and send a message with that counter punch. But if they disguise you, if they fool you a little bit, or if you feel like maybe you just don't have the strength or the hand speed to contend with the person speeding up against you, nothing wrong for blocking, taking pace off, forcing them to beat you in a different way. So just good. If you feel like you matched up well in hand speed, go for it. And if you see it coming, go for it. If not, nothing wrong with blocking. I talked about this earlier. I think, Tyson, you're right there in the top of the world or very close to it at being able to reset, buy yourself some time, get another ball back in play. And it just seems like a lot of good things happen when you're able to do that.
Yeah. And another little combo that I use, against some people that I don't feel as comfortable with head to head is block. And then usually they want to come again because they feel like I didn't do enough with the first one. And so when they come again, I'm ultra ready, and then I can slap away, not slap away, I can punch away. But plain and simple, it's like a little 1-2 combo of a block, buy myself some time, get really eager, get very ready, and then clock the next one.
Well, and how often once somebody initiates that first attack, even if the block comes back and it's a little lower, it's really hard to not continue going with that attack, even if it's maybe the wrong time, right?
No.
It takes more discipline to go on offense, realize that you're no longer in a position of strength, and go back to dinking. It's very common that second attack you're going to know is coming and see a little bit better. It's a great play.
Right. I know something you've talked about, and something that you're doing with your own game is that is that your block, it's not line drivey, but it's getting down and it's not floaty, and it's kind of more of like an offensive block. So I mean, you can your block doesn't have to be super defensive. You can kind of just keep it by your body and just get it down, and it's like a halfway punch, halfway block, but it just doesn't have any pace on it, Okay, so I'm gonna end with some camp recap here, or camps coming up. We have the Newport tournament coming up this weekend, and then we're running 3 2-day camps after the Newport tournament. 3 2-day camps, so Monday through Saturday, and then we're gonna run a little tournament at the Newport club on that Sunday. So make sure to check out those camps. You can go to my website at tysonmcguffin.com and register today. Also, too, we have a camp coming up in St. Clair Shores, Michigan, at the Wimbledon Racket and Paddle Club. That's December 19th to the 20th. And then right before the Punta Gorda tournament, we are running 2 2-day camps, all level specific, at the Pickleplex, and that's January 2nd through the 5th. So you guys can go to my website at tysonmcguffin.com and check all those camps out. Kyle, I want to say thanks for jumping on, buddy, and tell the fam I said hi. And you are not coming to Newport this weekend, correct?
I am playing. I'm playing with Nick Garza, so I'm only playing men's.
Got it.
So I believe I'm getting there flying in the 4th, so I'll be there the day before. So
okay.
I'll be cheering you on in mixed, and then trying to kick your butt if we play in men's.
Cool. I like it. Well, hey, thanks again, bud.
Yeah, of course. All right. We'll see you, man. Have a good one.
Gotta pull up the mix again. Sorry, Cedro. There's gonna be some editing, buddy. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and sorry, I will go with sleeper team, not freaking who's gonna win. Sorry.
No, and we can, we can do that too. That's
No.
However,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to make you have to pick the winner if you're in the bracket. That's all.
Yeah,
So with
right.
Well, I won't make
thank you for
say,
that.
well,
It's gonna be me.
Ben and Simone are gonna win. I'm getting first, taking it.
Hey,
I mean, I think you're playing with Callie. I mean, you guys have a shot to take the whole thing. What the hell, you know?
Hey, something I want to bring up. So talking about Simone and how she's going to play better with Andrea, or how she's going to play better against that team because she lost to him last time. We should talk about like there's value or not value, but there's something to be said with like poking the bear. Remember like that one day where you ended up kicking my ass and I fucking thought about it all. So
I only took a game off you, but it was like only the second or third time we'd played. So I'm coming out of nowhere, no business taking a game off of you, and you showed me that the next day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring that up real quick. Yeah,
that's a fun story. Yeah, no, it's a fun story. Yeah, for sure.
So talking about how Simone, obviously still has that loss, probably in the back of her head against Coop and Tereshchenko in Chicago.